This is Margaret in Windsor, and I'm going to reiterate I was kidnapped in 1941 at age 2 and brought to Moulton, Alabama, given the name of a twin, Peggy Ann Dempsey. I married Childers, and that's the name I still have to use. And I'm sitting here, and I have put up all this on Facebook and YouTube. And I have an autoimmune disorder that's been used against me. And right at the moment, I've had so much fumes and stuff that with the tarring of the roof and rough. Let me put it that way. My immune system's so low right now, and the inflammation's so bad. It's like being put through this grueling test for some reason to prove that I'm not fragile. Yes, I cry, 'cause it's been hell, and it's not right what's going on. I don't know if they get away with it. Elizabeth, they stole the crown. Illuminati. She represents them and her whole friggin' illegal line. So I'm not gonna, and all that's going on over there with Meghan Markle and Harry and the wedding and all the media's over there. And I'm afraid I'm going to wake people up here where I'm living. I'm living in a motel, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, 4. So I've been trying to put stuff up on my Facebook, and everything's gone wrong. Odd. I can't get it up. So I'm going to make this short to this that I'm putting up. If she sees it, she knows. I couldn't get it up there. My mom did live in Beverly Hills, so I must have been wrong about the Bel Air. I was associating that with going out to Flint's, and I was in that political campaign, and he lived in Bel Air on St. Cloud. That's where his limo driver, and I'm almost afraid to say this, because I don't want to get anybody hurt, so I'm not going to say it, who his limo driver was. Tom Jones lived next to him, the house next to him in Bel Air. Later, he moved out to Beverly Hills, too, but that was my mom's home in Beverly Hills. By the way, when I'm finding out my name and who my father is, Edward VIII, and my mom's Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, they were married. He was never married to Wallace. This is for other people that see this video. My mom and dad, I'm going to just fast forward, okay? They have gone back. I'm talking about the Illuminati that took my father down with nothing but lies, and Wallace Simpson married an imposter, and the imposters went through all these ludicrous things, behavior that were stated to be my father, and it's still going on now with the Meghan Markle. Now then, I have been made, if you wanted to look at it that way and not see through to the truth, I could have made all this up. Made to look where someone can say, oh, well, she's a nutcase. No, I'm not. And if all of this is told finally, and my father's name's cleared, and mine, in a sense, has been done the same way here, and what's been done to my children is so horrific. If it's ever shown, they don't want it told. My children are heirs after me, Mark and Scott, not William and Harry. So I'm going to skip all that. I'm going to go back to this. They have, when I found out about my real name, when I was out at Mr. Flynn's, by the way, the FBI run Hustler magazine, but it was a British that, well, drove his limo in 83. So I started finding out through Jack Hartsfield, who was an FBI reporter for the Huntsville Times and New Mexican News, and he was living in 84. He took me to a stop by Yeah, and he took me to a play, but I went over in to Abiquiu. Is I hope I pronounced it right. That's where Georgia was still alive, and that's where this what's his name now? I just looked it up. He got hold of her Hamilton, one Hamilton. You don't see any of the friggin' truth in here because it's controlled by the Illuminati that kidnapped the same ones that's controlling your press have been from way back when. Okay, so I don't lose it. I went to the post office in Abiquiu, and it was small. It was just over from Santa Fe, and I was staying a couple of weeks with Jack, which was a perfect gentleman, but he was FBI, and I keep saying this because people accuse me of being. Uh, um, Jack was, I believe he's an uncle or nephew. I'm not real sure to Hank Hartsfield, the astronaut. A couple of the shuttles he was captain of. But anyway, back to that. I'm finding out about my identity, who my father is. She married Edward VIII. He didn't marry Simpson. Cosmos Lang, the Archbishop, was in on it. He had to have married my mom and dad. And there was a big portrait brought to Moulton. I remembered after I started finding out about my kidnapping, I remember the portrait. And it's like the picture I put there, only my father's holding me in my christening gown. So he had to have done that. It was, and that was in 41 that would have brought my father back as power of attorney and everything. They had, when, with all the character assassination, they took down my father, and I sound like I'm babbling because it's so much to tell, and I'm sitting here so sick from what's gone on here. Um, so let me just cut to the, I, I'm hoping it's a prelude to telling the truth what's happening, because I'm the real monarch. There was an addendum, or if you want to call it attachment. It was legal, and I'm not going to give certain names because it could still get them hurt, and people would know them. But they approached me, and let me say this: Greyhound bus is the only bus now, and he was on the bus, and and I so appreciated what he did, and I understood. And you would know him, people would. So maybe this is told, and I don't have to be in fear of people that helped me getting hurt. Anyway, his uncle, or I believe now, I can't remember, was either one of the attorneys or judges that sat in on. My father never meant to leave. He was forced out in a double married Wallace. And he had a attachment addendum that was legal. And it made me, the minute I was born, should he have an heir, the heir would inherit. So when I was born in 39, I became Victoria II, heir to the British Crown. And the picture, the portrait that was brought over, that I could only remember when I found out my real name, was of my father holding me. I was in a christening gown, just christened. So I thought, now, well, okay, let me get back to this. So I really just meant to put this up at this time. Yes, my mom was alive, and my father, and they were married, still married to each other. October the 20th of 86, when I came to Roanoke, Virginia. And I won't give the background on that other than, because it gets too much, other than to say that when I got on the bus to come up here, I had no money. I had a ticket to Abington. And right after I got on the bus cleared out. That was Trailways. Now, Greyhound is owned by the Brits. Trailways went out of business, but that's the one that I was on, Trailways. And this lady sat down by me. There was just two of us for all this long, most of the time coming on up here, which usually they're filled up. She had on a pair of pants of mine, and you can't describe it. Let's just say there was a way I knew it was a pair of pants of mine that I'd worn. She was eating a biscuit and onion. That's all I had growing up. I was lucky to have that. You talk about making fun of, picking cotton, being assaulted in every manner, and to have been able to live through any of it, and then to watch what was done to my children just because of who we are. Okay, I'm getting off track. So let me say this. She said that my mom and dad were still alive. Okay, so I got off in Abington and I had to walk to the sheriff's department to get them to help me with a ticket. I hope the sound doesn't go off. Now I was trying to see if I've got enough time. My phone doesn't totally go out. Anyway, but the time I got a ticket and got the bus again in Abington to Roanoke, maybe Roanoke was supposed to be a sanctuary city. All my life it's been hell, so, I keep getting, when I try to leave, run back here. Okay, when I got in October, it's cold as hell in Virginia. And I got that time of the morning, I couldn't even afford a cup of coffee. And I got in and I'm scared to death. I don't know what Roanoke's like. I got into the bus station downtown Trailway, got off, and it was, the Trailway, thank goodness, was open. It was dark when I went in. It was just behind the desk, and the ticket agent was there, and the Brit was sitting there, the English lady. And I looked at her, and she said, we'll come back and get you here. So I started crying, and I went in the bathroom, and when I came back out, she was gone. Okay, I had to go to the rescue mission here, and they don't let you stay a few nights. It's been grueling, all of it. So don't somebody tell me that I'm fragile because I cry. You should walk in my shoes one moment. Have your kids stripped. Anyway, I was at the rescue mission. I'm afraid to talk out because somebody would come to the door and say, hey, lady, you okay? Or are you in there? You know. So anyway, I went to rescue mission. This lady comes in. You have to go to their religious church services. I saw this lady come in. She looked like Georgia O'Keeffe. She's dressed in the black and the cane. And she sat just down from me, a row in front of me, just down from me. And I thought, she really looks like Georgia O'Keeffe. And left. And the next morning, I know it was the next morning, I was going to the library because you could get out of the cold. And you had to look for jobs, but then that was a joke. It's like this old saying, they put you off in the forest and tell you to look for whatever it is, and of course there's not one, because my jobs were blocked at that time. Well, they probably, yeah. And on the way to the library, this lady gets up and she slept on concrete or something there on the side where she could have been killed, just like me all these years. They dumped me on the side of the road in 80 when they almost killed me. She got up and there was a guy there. He looked like, I think it was kind of like one Hamilton that got all of my Aunt George's money, an illegal will. He signed it, she didn't. But this whole thing has been carried out to even the O'Keeffes couldn't get through to Georgia. So in answer to the death, my mother was still alive then, so how they've done it, I don't know what was in those letters. The letter, Georgia, to my mom, but I wish I could pull it up, but I can't. I'd have to have a magnifying glass. So I don't know what was stated in it, but they went back and pretty much smashed my mother out of history. And Georgia, I'm not sure they even got the time right that I think they manipulated that timeline on Georgia dying. So who's in the grave out there that they say is my mom? I don't know. But anyway, back to this, if I can get back to it. She got up and came to me, and she said, "This is the man that takes care of me." And she says, "I chose to do this, and it's cold." And I felt so sad for her. And she pointed up, which I still don't understand. She pointed up and she said, "This belongs to me, the land it's on." She said, "They can't evict you." And she says something about there's a Sears and Roebuck. Everybody knows that. And so I don't know which she said, Sears or Roebuck, but she said that name. Okay, now I'm going to jump to, I managed, in the next week, I managed to get a job. It became a live-in here. That I was with for about a year and a half. That's when I went to the embassy the first time in England, July of on the 25th of '87, and some hearings were shut down suddenly for no reason at all. They were just shut down. I can't remember his name, but anyway, that's shredded stuff, and I can't remember his name. But anyway, back to my mom. I didn't put it together just then. So I got down, I came back to the library after I had a few nights working for this companion aid, and then later I went to work for her. And the lady that looked like Georgia was standing there over at the water fountain, and she, well, I went to her really, and she's standing there because I'd seen her she'd come to me at the side of the road that morning after being at the church that night, and she slept out. And I said to her, I said, "I only have $12 on me. Can I help you?" And she said, "No." And she said something about, I can't remember, she said, "Come with me," I think. And they had a section of the library, right up front there, was devoted to the children that just started. And it had this big, huge, I don't know what you'd say there, like a dictionary only, or sign in or something. It's huge. And it's for a children's section. She's standing there. And I come up to her. I can't remember what I said to her. This is my mom, and she's older, and she showed her age like I am now. And I remember that I reached up, and I don't do that. I reached up and kissed her on the cheek, and I started crying. And I don't do that unless it's my children or I hurt for people, and I might, and animals, but this is something I didn't do. It was almost like I knew she was my mom. So I'm going to leave it there. The next week, or not long after the library, there's a big article in the Roanoke Times about Mr. Whitelock left out. The Whitlock is a street in Marietta, Georgia, where a lot of hell happened to me. His name's Whitlock, and he's over at the city libraries in Roanoke. And I go in that day, and the library is all disarray. The books are pulled out; they're all over the place, scattered. And in the next day or so is when this came out that he was not going to be there anymore. He had resigned, and it's where he went. So and I'm not going to get into saying anymore there. I can see people saying, "Oh yeah, lady," they don't want to hear it.